What's up guys, Dakota here and welcome to the channel. So in today's video I thought, now that I've had the headliner installed on my Jeep for a little over a month now, that I would go ahead and do kind of a full review of it and what I think of it, and kind of is it worth it. So first thing I thought we'd talk about is installation. So if you guys haven't seen it, I did do a full installation of this and I'll put a link up there if you want to check it out. But installation wise, it's fairly simple. It's just a little tedious, but it's not hard by any means. It just takes a little bit of time, and you're basically doing the same step repeatedly for however long it takes you. Installation, no problem. Next thing I thought we'd talk about is the overall quality. So before I made the decision to buy the HotHead Headliner, I checked out the Mopar version and realized that this seems a lot higher quality when I went out and actually used the Mopar one. The material that they use is a lot softer and feels more like a headliner, a traditional headliner, than the one that you can get from the factory from Jeep. So that's kind of what made me decide to go this route as opposed to the regular Mopar one. Overall quality is very nice, and so far after having it installed, I haven't had anything start to fall or peel off or anything like that. It's still it's on there just as well as it was when I first put it on, so no complaints there. Now one thing that I did notice after installing it is it's got this if you guys have ever smelled, it's gonna be odd, but like balsa wood, it's got a really strong sweet wood smell when you first install it, and it stays in the car for probably I think a couple of weeks, and it was just kind of odd. I mean, there's worse things for your car to smell like, so it's not really a bad thing or a good thing, just something that I noticed. So if you really hate smells, then maybe you won't like that, but that was one thing that I did notice. As far as what is this thing designed to do, they say it's designed to reduce sound, reduce and regulate temperature in the vehicle, as well as help improve the sound quality of your audio system or your stereo system. So as far as, let's do the first, which is the temperature. It definitely, that's the most noticeable thing, is it definitely regulates the temperature and keeps things a little cooler during the summer. I live in Texas, so it gets pretty hot. We're talking 90, 100 degrees outside, and when your Jeep's been sitting out in the sun for 6, 8, 10 hours, it's nice to come out to a car where it's not super hot. It does keep the temperature down nicely. I have noticed that, and it keeps it cool when you're driving. I've noticed that it doesn't seem to take as long for the vehicle to cool down, so that's nice. Next, the thing that I've noticed is it does in fact improve the sound quality of the stereo. I didn't expect the sound system to sound any different, but I noticed, after a few days, I was like, it definitely sounds a little bit better. I guess just having the extra acoustic of the headliner, it definitely did make it sound a lot better. And when I say that, I mean the bass is a little bit more crisp. And speaking of, if you guys haven't seen the other video, I did get the full, basically the full options you could get from buying this. So I got the Freedom panels, the back panels, the side window panels, as well as these Sound Assassin strips. So I have all of that installed on mine. As far as sound, that's one thing that I think might mislead a lot of people, because bear in mind, it's still a Jeep, right? It's still a brick going into the wind, so there's really not a whole lot you can do. But with that being said, at normal kind of below 50-mile-an-hour speeds, if you're just say cruising down a road and the speed limit's 40 miles an hour, it does seem a little bit quieter. Not a huge drastic difference, but it does seem a little bit quieter. But once you get up to highway speed 60, 70 plus miles an hour, that's where you kind of run into, again, it's a Jeep, so it's a brick going through the wind, so adding a little bit of padding here isn't going to do much for the sound. So At highway speeds, it's very minor. You know, some people might notice a difference, some people might not, just because of how minor the sound difference is. But I will say, at speeds below 50, at 50 or below 50 miles an hour, it definitely does sound a little quieter. I guess the real question is it worth it? Is it worth the $500, and should you spend that much money on this modification? And I guess really, in my opinion, compared to the Mopar Headliner, I definitely think it's worth the money, because I think it's about the same price. This is a much better quality than the Mopar Headliner. No doubt about it, it's much better. Now, obviously, if you live in an area where the summer temperatures don't get that hot, and you know, where maybe if you live in a place where your summers are 85 degrees, I mean, it might help. I haven't yet experienced this in the winter, but again, I live in Texas, so it's not like I'm going to be experiencing 20 degrees to see if this helps keep it warm. But again, I think if you plan on getting it because you live in like an area where it gets very hot, I definitely think you should go this route as opposed to the Mopar one. So far, I haven't had any issues with it as far as it falling off, and I'm no expert at installing really anything. So this is, so far, I've been very happy with it. But like I said, the biggest change, just to reiterate, biggest change, temperature. Keeps the temperature nice and regulated, so when you're leaving it out in the sun while you're at work for 6 to 10 hours, it definitely helps reduce some of that heat. The bonuses, rather, would be a little bit better sound quality from the sound system, and at lower speeds, it does seem a little more muted as far as noise. And then highway speeds, it's negligible, just because, again, it's a brick going through the air, so it's really hard to make it any quieter without changing the structure of the car. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys found this video helpful. And if you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and please feel free to leave a comment down below to ask questions about it if you have any concerns. And anyways, guys, I will see y'all in the next video. Take care.